Module 4 is trauma and recovery. In this module, we explore some gentle, simple, accessible ways to understand what holistic trauma recovery can look like, can feel like, and what it's scientifically defined as. Here we explore some conflict styles like fight, flight, freeze, and the newest one, submit, and we learn some gentle ways in which how our nervous system copes with recovery. Trauma therapist Resma Menakan always talks about the idea of pain. And so I'm just going to read a quote about pain in this module of trauma, recovery, and survivorship as an idea that we'll explore soon. As every therapist will tell you, healing involves discomfort, but so does refusing to heal. And over time, refusing to heal is always more painful. Sounds super simple, but think about it in the context of our culture and how repressed sexual shame is, how repressed sexual trauma is, how repressed it is to talk about these things, right, out in the open. So a lot of the times we might feel that healing means I have to go back to who I was before the assault. I have to go back to some extremely perfect idea of who I used to be, or who my parents think I should be, or who my partner thinks I should be. And that is literally an additional burden on top of being traumatized and feeling really disconnected from our bodies. We also add more pressure to ourselves to say, I have to heal that one particular way, right? And I just am here to say to you that let's bring ourselves off that pedestal of being the perfect survivor, the perfect healed person, the perfect having the perfect conscious relationship, having the perfect sex. There is no such thing, and that is what it means to accept diversity in healing and diversity in ourselves. So please explore this book called My Grandmother's Hands, on top of the very classic trauma recovery book called The Body Keeps the Score by Dr. Van der Kolk, who is a German psychotherapist who talks a lot about trauma. Look at Judith Herman's Trauma and Recovery. These are some classics you might want to explore as we move towards this segment. I want to label 3 very important things that happen in our mind when we think about healing. First, we go back to the memory. And when we go back to the memory, we think, what could I have done differently, right? Could I have punched the person who crossed my boundaries? Some of us might feel, could I have completely just acted that nothing impacts me so that it's just finished, that sexual experience is just done, right? And I'm just going to bear with it and it's over. Some of us might feel that just keeping quiet would have helped. Why did I talk back? Why did I slap somebody back on the street when they sexually assaulted me? So a lot of us survivors go through a lot of these different should responses. And one of my most privileged, lovely trauma therapy supervisors, Dr. Beth Entekin, always used to say, remove the should. Remove the should from the healing process, both as a therapist and as a client. So remove the should from what you think healing should be. And that's connected to conflict styles. If you have a fight conflict style where you tend to push back on somebody who's oppressing you, you're not going to suddenly become somebody who has a different conflict style. You're not going to suddenly erase that conflict style from you, right? Because that particular response comes from generational trauma, it comes from who your family was, it comes from what you've learned, it comes from your own physiology. There are many aspects to it. It's quite complicated. Same way, if you have a response where you tend to dissociate, you can actively help your body not dissociate to some extent, but your first response might be to freeze, where somebody's coming at you with a demand that you don't like, a sexual demand, and you just go, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I was super articulate 5 minutes ago, and now I don't know what to do. A similar thing happened to me at a temple, actually, when I was walking. This uncle came and spanked my ass, and I wrote a post about this on my social media page. And we were at a place of worship, which I love. And this person completely took advantage of just my body standing there. And I'm someone who considers herself quite articulate, someone who pushes back. And in that moment, I just froze. And for a long time, I was shoulding myself. I should have pushed back. I should have said something. And it didn't happen. And so in that time, I had to really turn the lens inward, and I had to give myself a lot of self-compassion and a lot of understanding of trauma and recovery to say, Neha, you're not the perfect survivor. There is no such thing. You are not going to push back on every perpetrator that comes at you, which doesn't mean I have to be helpless, but it does mean that I have to forgive myself for the particular response I had at that time, which was not in my control. Not saying you should forgive yourself or you shouldn't. I'm saying consider what I'm saying. The third response, which is talked about quite often, is flight. Think about the island attachment style. It's someone who flees the situation. Oh my gosh, I'm already noticing this person's giving me weird vibes. I'm just going to not confront them. I'm just going to leave, right? What happens when survivors, a lot of us do this, we lose opportunities too. We might never take that stand-up comedy job because our perpetrator is also a stand-up comic. An example. We might never display our work in the same gallery. Why? Because our perpetrator is also an artist in the same gallery. And so our flight conflict style, although protects us, also hurts us in some way. And at some point, our body is coping to protect ourselves from pain. Fight, freeze, flight. Push back, stop, run away. There's a fourth one, submit. And Dr. Van der Kolk has just done a lot of research on it in the last couple of years. Not a lot of therapists know about this, but this is a style where I just give in. So you're coming at me with something I don't like, a sexual need, and you're pushing. My body is like, oh my gosh, I need to run, but I just dissociate. I just stand there and it just happens. Is it my fault that it happened? No, because that's my body's conflict style. Can I work on it to make myself more secure? Yes. But remember, it's not going to be that you suddenly by magic become somebody else. That conflict style that is ingrained in you, imprinted in you, most probably will carry. Which is why it is so important, again, to not have the perfect survivor in your mind as an ideal to healing. It is important to take small steps towards healing as soon as you can, especially after trauma, as openly as you can with your friends, with your family members, if possible, and in bite-sized ways that you can digest. Not eating the whole pie all of a sudden and expecting yourself to be somebody else that you're not.